When the sequester cuts went into effect on March 1st, the local impact was not completely clear. Now, one decision triggered by the sequester is having a major impact locally and will cause several individuals to lose their jobs. Here's Ben with more.
On May 5th, this tower will cease operations, leaving pilots on their own when it comes to coordinating the more than 200 takeoffs and landings that occur every day at the Anoka County Blaine Airport.
Well, the tower will no longer be operational after that point until, of course, at some point the administration and the Congress can, get back on track and get the budget going and so forth. But certainly the rest of the facilities will be kept up, just like we always do. And what it will mean is that pilots will, instead of having a tower there to have them positively control their landings 5 miles out from the airport, they will instead switch to a frequency that all of the pilots in that area will be able to use. And of course, pilots are trained to use procedures to safely land their aircraft at airports that are not controlled by a tower.
The Metropolitan Airports Commission learned last week of the impending closure of the tower. And while MAC runs the airport, that decision was out of their hands.
The Federal Aviation Administration controls the airspace across the whole entire United States. So when the sequester began on March 1st, they had to begin to think about where are they going to make their budget cuts. And one of them was to take down the towers, or I should say close the towers where they felt that there would be the least impacts. And unfortunately, of course, we're disappointed that they chose Anoka County Airport as one of them, and we really do hope that they can maybe look at that again and have a little more equitable method for deciding which ones should close and which ones could stay open.
The Anoka County Blaine Airport is home to 2 full-service operations in Key Air and Cirrus flight operations, and this tower closure could have an impact on their business.
I think one of the effects that we do know, we don't know to what extent it's going to happen, but we do have some commercial operators on the airport that serve pilots and aircraft. Key Air and Cirrus flight operations. They're 2 of the main full-service FBOs up there, and then we have a couple of about a half a dozen of single-service operators there. So if pilots decide that they are going to divert to other airports and rather than going into Anoka County, that could reduce their business, and of course that's not good for them and anyone else.
This is not the first time the Blaine Airport has been without tower services. In fact, at a time that the airport was much busier, it operated without a tower in place.
We didn't have a tower there until the mid-1990s, and we were close to 200,000 operations annually at that time. Right now, we're just a little bit less than 80,000. So it operated obviously up to a point where we had almost 200,000 operations, and now we're down to about 80,000.
The sequester cuts are locked in place until September 30th, which is the end of the federal government's fiscal year. It is possible that funding for the tower will be restored at that time, but this does have the possibility of being a permanent closure.
It's a possibility, certainly. We certainly hope that's not the case. It does offer another level of safety for pilots up there. And of course, from a commercial operation, when you have a tower, you know that you're going to have probably more pilots who are willing to come and fly into that. And of course, on the ground, you have these commercial operators, and really even around the entire area there, where over time, at least, you would want to make sure that you have the facilities, the best facilities for pilots to be able to come in there, and corporations specifically, and use those facilities and so forth. So we really hope that's not the case. We hope that they are able to resolve the budget issues and reopen that as soon as possible.
For North Metro TV News, Ben Hale reporting.
The MAC will continue to have discussions with the FAA regarding the closure of the tower in the hopes of persuading the FAA to restore the funding. Besides the Anoka County Blaine Airport, the only other airport in Minnesota to lose its tower services is the St. Cloud Regional Airport.